In this session, actually there are 7 presenters. First is Mr. Faldoni. Second, Ms. Mareta. Have you joined? Have you in? Okay. Mr. Sesde, then Ms. Rezi, followed by Ms. Ayu and Mr. Fikri, but I haven't seen Mr. Fikri, and the last one is Ms. Adiwidya. Okay, we will start with our first speaker. Please welcome Mr. Faldoni Sandi to present your presentation. Okay, I have give you access to share your screen. So, Mr. Faldoni, the time is yours. Mr. Faldoni, are you freezing? Something happened? Hello, Mr. Or we can Faldoni disappear. Okay, Faldoni, have you joined back?
Okay.
Yep, you can start your presentation now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I apologize because it's really hard to get a stable connection because the weather is bad. I thank you for giving this opportunity. I'm Patricius Faldoni Sandi. I'm a speaker of this session. I will present our research entitled Identifying the Indicators for Evaluation of the Procurement Principle Implementation in Public Construction Project. This presentation will be divided into several parts, beginning with the background of my research until the conclusion of this research. First, I want to explain the background of the research, why this topic being chosen and considered important for research. Construction is the most important sector to meet the infrastructure needs. Any region or country wants their infrastructure development to progress, but because this is a government responsibility and their limitation, they need the third parties to fulfill that. And the parties have to the possible price at the right times and the quality, and this is done by the procurement system. But both of them are complex. Construction and procurement really complex because they involve the cultural, leadership, political issues, and integrate the interests of large number of stakeholders. And the most important things is the government budget, which is a public fund, is a sort of funding really vulnerable to public trust. So to address the vulnerable of public trust and various problems of this in procurement, the government use IT or electronic procurement. So but the system there are some barriers like security of transactions issues, high technology cost, lack of legal teamwork, and so on. And I want to find out the indicators of procurement principle that can be used to measure and evaluate the implementation of procurement principle. There are some basic theories that we use for this topic. For the first is public procurement. Public procurement is a product of public policy issued and endeavored by the government, and the construction procurement is the purchase of construction-related services with the ultimate goal of creating new buildings or new structures. The principle of Indonesian public procurement emphasis in Presidential Regulation of the Republic of Indonesia, number 16 of 2018, stipulates 7 principles of procurement implementation. The first, efficient; second, effective; third, open; fourth, transparent; fifth, competitive; sixth, fair; seven, accountable, and I will explain that. Efficient can be seen as a situation where procurement can reduce losses or waste of resources. Effective, a condition where the use of government procurement can achieve the desired result. Transparent, it's related with the complete information to all prospective participants. Open provides opportunity for all component providers of goods and services to be involved. The fifth, competitive, it's related with the involvement of 2 or more bidders, preventing competition restriction and based on ethical norms. Six, fairs, related to the equal and equitable treatment. And the last one, accountable, refers to the existence of an effective control mechanisms. Next, the research methodology. For the first, I will resort and select some related literature. And from that literature, we determine some variable and indicators, and we made survey. We designed the questionnaires with the Likert scale model with 1 till 5 points, represent highly relevant to highly relevant. And we involves at least 4 experts have experience at least 5 years in this field. And the last about the result, we analyze with the mean test, and the indicator is considered relevant if the mean of the variable is greater than 3. The next step, we talk about result and analysis. From the literature, we find out there are 62 indicators of public procurement principle that have been identified. We can look at the table. From efficient, there are 10 indicators to measure the efficient principle. And the most significant indicator for efficient is utilization of electronic system. And there are 3 irrelevant indicators: decreasing a number of administrative staff, increased number of participation, and a classification of the procurement values. The second, effective principle. There are 8 indicators to measure that. And the most significant indicators of efficient is achievement of procurement goals. And the irrelevant indicators, there is a management that regulates communication process, strategy, innovation, and program adoption. For the third principle is transparent. There are 10 indicators. The most significant indicator of transfer is rules and procedure are simple and easy to apply and access to information. And there are 2 indicators are irrelevant. For the first, society participation and information justification. For the fourth principle, open principle, there are 6 indicators, and there are 2 indicators are irrelevant. They are utilization of local resources and privacy protection policy. And the most significant indicator of this principle are utilization of local resource, administration based on qualification, and the blacklist or suspend list publication. For the fifth principle, they are competitive. The most significant indicators of competitive are there was no intervention from any party and clear procedure and recruitment. And 2 more irrelevant indicators are the proportion of the number and value of direct appointment and the participation of SMA. For the next principle, the fair principle, there are 9 principles, and the most significant indicators are determination of winner based on qualification and avoiding conflict of interests. And the relevant indicator is credible mechanism to solving complaints. And the last one is accountable principle. There are 10 indicators of this principle, and the most significant indicators are the risk control or supervision mechanism and internal and external audit. There are 3 indicators are irrelevant. There are evaluation by society, supervisory agency, and publication of uncompetitive procedures. Finally, on the conclusion, according to the survey, there are 49 of 62 indicators that were relevant and 30 indicators that were relevant. So the 49 indicators were obtained which could be used to evaluate the procurement principle implementation in public construction project. This is the end of my presentation. I thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Faldoni, for the presentation. Now it's time for Q&A session. Is there any question for Mr. Faldoni? Is there any question for Mr. Faldoni? For the one who interested in the procurement management? The other speaker is also allowed to ask question for Mr. Faldoni. Don't be too worried. Or maybe you can write down in the chat room. So I will read and deliver your question to Mr. Faldoni. Okay, maybe it's still the first speaker, so you all are still warming up with this session. Maybe if there is no question, we can end Mr. Faldoni's session. We can close his session and we jump to Miss Mareta. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now you can start your presentation. The time is 10 minutes from now.
Okay, I will share the screen. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to present my research result with the title of 4D BIM implementation to improve EPC project performance from contractor's perspective. This is a case study. Okay, let's start from the introduction. Okay, this is the background of my research. The traditional construction planning and control tools such as Gantt chart and S-curve, and then time location.
I'm sorry, Miss Marita, can you play your presentation? Sorry, because it's too small.
Okay, sorry. I will try to present. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
It's okay. 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 Thank you. I will continue. So the background is that the traditional, sorry, I will hide this. Okay, the traditional construction planning and control tools such as Gantt chart and S-curve and the time location chart not provide the clear visualization of information, since the sequence of activities is not linked to physical object represented by those activities. So this is the main background of my research. Then by the state-of-the-art of construction management and scheduling planning, right now is the building information modeling has been developed by adding time dimension that known as 4D BIM. It can be one of the solutions to visualize the progress construction work into the three-dimensional image. But although the research has related to 4D BIM has proven the benefits, but it's still questionable that it can compensate the initial cost and the effort to create the models. So my research is aimed to identify the 4D BIM implementation strategies to optimize the benefit, and then identify the resources requirement for implementation, and also analyze the impact of 4D BIM use to improve EPC project performance. This is a case study that carried on power plant 25 megawatt EPC project in North Sumatra. And also this is from EPC contractor perspective. Okay, for the what is 4D BIM? This is the definition that taken from research by Pitek and Petel. So the 4D BIM model can be defined as the three-dimensional 3D combined with the time schedule information. So it makes it easier for the project team to visualize the sequential of construction process, such as the construction plan can be reviewed. So with the 3D model that we already developed in engineering, it's combined with the scheduling tools such as Primavera or by Microsoft Project into BIM scheduling tools, so we can generate the 4D models. Okay, so one of the most important things for the implementation strategies is the level of development. So the level of development is a breakdown of the proportion of what is included in the model element. So the American Institute Architect have defined 5 levels of LOD, from LOD 100 to LOD 500. This is important, so to define our strategy, which LOD can combine in which level of schedule in the life cycle of the EPC project. As we know, the characteristics of EPC project is the data or the 3D model will be developed across the life cycle of project. So in the later of the project phase, it will be more complete and more detailed for the 3D models. Okay, so the second thing is for the project key performance indicators. It is one of my research question, how the implementation of 4D BIM can impact or improve the key performance indicator. So we have defined from the study literature that some KPI that we want to measure is divided into the KPI that oriented result that consists of 7 KPI: financial, schedule and cost, quality, safety, customer, and the productivity. So we want to identify which KPI have which one has most impacted by the implementation of the 4D model. So the second category is the key performance index or key performance indicators that process oriented. This is divided into 6 categories: communication management, resources management, schedule management, quality management, safety management, and the productivity performance. Okay, so this is only the preview for the 4D that we have used or developed in the project. So we can visualize the progress of the construction. You can see at the bottom is the schedule, and the above is what should already built at this time or moment. Okay, so next the methodology. This is the case study performed at PTX, an EPC contractor in Indonesia, which use a power plant 25 megawatt project as the case, and it has been developed for the BIM in the engineering stage. So for my research, the study literature was performed initially to define the 4D BIM benefits in improving EPC project performance, and also to define the variables that consist of resources requirements and also the key performance indicators. After that, the survey and structure interview was conducted to evaluate, study, and to analyze the impact of 4D BIM implementation. This is the sample and the population of the PTX project and department. So I take 4 person as a sample from project control division and also the project manager and the sub manager for the project. Okay, so this is the findings. The first is implementation strategies. That implementation during our project life cycle can be divided into 3 phases: the initiation, the pre-construction, and the construction. So from my research and the survey and the interview with the respondent, it is defined that to start the implementation of for the model, we need the 3D model progress up to 30%. For the pre-construction, it is linked with the level of development of 3D model LOD 300. So in my case, is the project is 21 months duration. So at the beginning of month 3, we can start the pre-construction phase. At the beginning of the month 7, with if the 3D model progress already achieved 60% progress, we can start the construction phase with a link the LOD 500 with the schedule level 5 or the daily activity schedule. So this is how we involve in the more in the later space of project. The 3D model is more detailed and also the schedule is more detailed, so it can be linked. So this is the implementation strategies, and then the resources requirement. We identify it can be divided into 3. So the first one is the software. For the scheduling is the Primavera P6 Professional, and for tooling the 3D models with the schedule, we use the Autodesk Navis Work Manage 2016. We also require the 3D survey at the beginning of the engineering phase to include all the location condition into the 3D model. And the total man hours to implement the 4D model is defined as a 3,392 man hours during the project life cycle. So the most man hour was spent at the construction phase. Meanwhile, the initial and the pre-construction spent around 13% up to 14% of the man hours. Okay, so next for the key performance indicator, this is the result. So for the KPIs with the result oriented, the most benefit for the BIM can be seen to improve the productivity. So around score is around 83%, followed by time, safety, customer cost, financial, and quality. Meanwhile, for the KPI that process oriented, the most impacted one is the schedule management. So we believe it can improve the schedule management. The second one is the communication management, and followed by productivity, quality, resources, and the latest one is the safety management. This is the result how for the BIM implementation can be improve the project KPI. Okay, so this is the conclusion. The first one for the implementation strategies can be start since the project award, and then in the pre-construction was developed to connect LOD 300 with the project master schedule level 3. Furthermore, in the construction phase is connected LOD 500 with the schedule level 5. Okay, the second one is regarding the resources requirement that we have I explained before. 19 project members were involved. The total is 3,392 man hours to implement the 4D BIM. And the third one is the shown that 4D BIM implementation has a potential benefit to improve the project productivity and time performance. Moreover, the benefit of 4D BIM implementation has highest impact to improve the schedule and communication management process during the construction phase. Okay, I think it is all for my presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Mareta. This is a very interesting research because from many perspectives, BIM is very interesting. So Q&A session is started. Is there any question for Ms. Mareta? Or Anybody who interested in BIM research or have experience in BIM? Maybe someone have experience in BIM? I give you an option. Maybe you can, you will not ask the question for now, but you can write down your questions in the chat room. So after this, after all presentation presents the presentation, maybe we can review chat. Maybe there may be some question for presenters. Okay, maybe we can move to next presenter, Mr. Sesde Asrul Stani. His paper is role funding with non-cash loan in the form of supply chain financing on elevated road project performance. Are you ready, Mr. Sesde?
Yes.
All right.
Let's go. Okay. First of all, I say thank you for the time for me to explain my research is about the road funding based on cash loan in the form of the supply chain financing on elevated road project performance case study joint operation project APTX. As introduction, I will explain the background that why I choose this research about, because in last 10 years we know the national infrastructure budget in Indonesia has already increasingly faster. Is about more national infrastructure growth more than 10%, and also beside the national infrastructure project from ABBN is also the so many project strategic that that they chosen by Indonesian government. Okay, and then but the increasing infrastructure project has a main problem from the Ministry of Indonesia, that the problem is 44% is about the land acquisition, and 25% about the planning and preparation problem, and 70% about the limited fund, and also 12% about the authorization permission. Why we choose an elevated road program project? Because elevated road project, it has can minimize land acquisition in the infrastructure project, because we can build a elevated project in above main road that already existing in our nation. And also about this research mainly topic can answer a point number 1 and point number 2 about the limited fund. As we know, debt equity ratio from the state-owned enterprise in Indonesia has been increasingly growing. Now, a ratio is almost all state-owned company debt equity ratio is above almost a 4. And To answer that the problem, we mostly we can choose an alternative funding for the project is a non-cash loan. Non-cash loan is also a supply chain financing that already we know that the bank will pay directly to our subcontractor or the vendor. In the PTX last 5 years, the dominated for the paying funding for the project is dominated by non-cash loan, but above 65% now, and almost 70% funding project is by non-cash loan or SGF supply chain. This is the scheme from the non-cash loan. As you see, the bank is will be paid directly to the subcontractor or the vendor that to work on the main contractor. A recent question that we studied is what are the cost structure component of the project construction that can be implemented on the non-cash loan based on the supply chain financing process? And the second, how the process and implementation strategy non-cash loan based on the supply chain financing on the elevated project that has impact on our cash flow. A literature review that what is about the supply chain financing. Supply financing is an approach for two more organizations in the supply chain, including external service provider, to jointly create value through means of planning, steering, and controlling the flow of financial resources. This is the pyramid of the SGF. As you see, the top pyramid in the financing institution, and then the buyer is the main contractor, the supplier is a vendor or a subcontractor, and this triangle is directly connected by an SGF instrument. And then this scheme of the project cost, indirect cost, direct cost, and working capital. This is the output that we want to show about the project cash flow from that we will research. How will the performance of the project when they using NGL supply chain? Is there positive or negative? Is there the research variable is about the cash in, cash out, progress, procurement procedure, investment procedure, and cost of money and invoices procedure. And as you see, the research result that's shown that the cash in cannot be implemented in SGF. The cash out is a direct cost, mostly material equipment subcontractor can be implemented by SGF, but for the wage, it cannot be implemented on the SGF. And also indirect cost and also project profit. And from the progress owner and third party as also can be implemented on the SGF. And how many days ideal for day sale outstanding or DSO? Mostly 30 days the idle days. And how many days from day payable outstanding is mostly 45 days. This is the result from the case study for the project. As you see, if we compare about cost without SGF and cost with SGF. Cost without SGF, there's no cost of money that can be. There's no cost of money. If we using the SGF, the cost of money about the 66 million rupiah. And this is the research result if we showing the overdraft cash flow diagram. So we can show that overdraft cash flow without FGF, the project we will having a situation negative cash flow if we using without SGF, and this is a most if we have a situation negative cash flow, the project will be shut down. And if we using the SGF cash flow, so we can show the project will be positive cash flow, and the project will still can be running until the end of the project. So the conclusion is, one, mostly all variable costs in elevated toll road project could become cost factor for the non-cash loan SGF, except the cash in direct cost and the profit. And the second, strategy implementation for NCL SGF could be developed in the procurement procedure, invoice procedure, and invoice interest procedure. And the ideal days outstanding DSO are 30 days, and ideal days for the payable outstanding DPO are the 45 days. I think that thank you for the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Sasday for the presentation. This is very nice, very interesting, because it you present the different approach for financing. So we can start the Q&A session. Is there any question for Mr. Sasday? Or is it too hard to discuss? Too advanced to discuss? Okay, similar to similar to other presenter, I give you an opportunity. I still give you an opportunity to ask the question in the chat room. So maybe you can you still thinking about what you want to ask. I give you an opportunity, then write down in the chat, and I will review in the end of all sessions. Then better we move to another speaker, and Miss Rezi, this your
Yes.
yep, this is your session. Please welcome Miss Rezi.
Yes. Can I share screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, the Honorable Committee members of International Conference on Civil Engineering Research 2020, the Honorable Mrs. Farida Rahmawati, PhD, as a moderator, the Honorable Mr. Cristiano Utomo, PhD, as the second author, and Mrs. Dr. Yani Rahmawati as the third author. Thank you for the time that given to me to present our paper with the title, A Review of Research Methods in Green Building Implementation on Operation and Maintenance Costs. And the table of contents is introduction, methodology, result, and concerns. And the introduction is the construction industry is developing countries account for around 30% of total greenhouse gas emission. And CO2 gas emission generated by the building sector accounted for 34.8% of the total energy used in the world. And the green building is a building that maximizes energy savings, protect the environment, reduce the pollution, maintains health, utility space effectively, and it is harmony with nature in its life cycle. And then life cycle costs is consider all costs, including initial costs, such as construction costs, operation and maintenance costs, and depreciation costs. But in this research, discuss more deeply about operation and maintenance costs. There are several methods that to measure and analyze the effect of applying green building to operational and maintenance costs, namely life cycle cost analysis, payback period, net present value, sensitive analysis, regression analysis, and fuzzy analysis. And this journal focus on mapping the methods that will be used in analyzing the effect of applying green building to operation and maintenance costs. And the methodology is selected journal, reviewed a number of papers. In this research, there are 14 selected journals reviewed to measure the effect of the application of green building on operation and maintenance costs. And the journal publication with the higher SDR is Renewable Sustainable Energy Reviewers with 3 papers. And then Journal of Environmental Economics and Management, quartile 1 with 3 papers. Energy Policy, quartile 1 paper. Journal of Cleaner Production, quartile 1 paper. And Building Environment, quartile 1, 2 papers. And Journal Publication Cities, quartile 1 paper. Regional Science and Urban Economics, quartile 1 paper. Sustainable Cities and Society, quartile 1 paper. And the last, Build Environment Project and Assets Management, quartile 2, 1 paper. And the result is a theoretical mapping of pressure of previous research divided into type and data of research, which is quantitative, qualitative, primary data, secondary data. And there are four reputable journal. And the first journal is using quantitative and secondary data. And second journal is using quantitative and primary data. And paper 3 is use quantitative and secondary data. And the method is literature review and regression analysis. And paper 4 is using quantitative and primary data, and the methods is survey, life cycle cost analysis, and sensitivity analysis. And paper 5 use quantitative and primary data. Use the methods are survey, LCC analysis, payback period, and NPV. Paper 6 interview, survey, and fuzzy analysis. And paper 7 use quantitative and secondary data using literature review and sensitive analysis. And then paper 8 use qualitative and primary data, and the methods are descriptive analysis, secondary data, use methods literature review, quantitative and primary data. The methods are survey and LCC analysis. Paper 11 use quantitative and primary data. The methods are literature review, interview, and LCC analysis. And paper 12 use quantitative and secondary data. The methods are literature review and LCC analysis. 13 use quantitative and secondary data. And the last paper use quantitative and primary data. And the method is survey, interview, and LCC analysis. And then I made mapping diagram of type and data research, and based on 14 journal paper. Paper number 2, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, and 14 use quantitative and primary data. And paper number 8 use primary data and qualitative. And paper number 1, 3, 7, 9, 12, and 13 use quantitative and secondary data. And then the conclusion is the most widely used method is research with quantitative methods with the types of primary data described in journal 2, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, and 14 with differences in analysis, namely regression analysis, LCC analysis, sensitivity analysis, payback period, and PV and fuzzy method. But the most widely used analysis from the previous research is life cycle cost analysis. And the acknowledgement is the author gave their concern and awards in the form of research grant and fellowship from penelitian thesis Magister ITS 2020 based on contract number 917 PKS ITS 2020. Maybe that's enough from my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Resi, for the presentation. Now it's time for Q&A or discussion session. Is there any question for Ms. Resi? Nobody? Or anyone, all presenters are worried or nervous? Okay. Okay. Maybe you can write down the question. Maybe not now. Maybe in the end of this session. Now we can go to next presenter, Miss Ayu Fatimah Sari, Real Estate Investment Trust as Real Estate Financing for Developers in Indonesia. Okay, you can start your presentation now.
Can you see my screen? Can all of you see my screen?
Yeah, but
Yes.
you can play your presentation because
Hello?
it's, yep.
Hello?
Yeah, you can play your presentation. Okay,
Thank you.
that's
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I already played. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I will present our paper with the title Real Estate Investment Trust, or REIT, as Real Estate Financing for Developer in Surabaya, Indonesia, with literature review of previous study. Okay, first, for introduction, I will explain our background. For economic development, it's depend on good development of real estate market project. Development is one of important factor in country's economy. Just like mentioned in our paper title earlier, I will explain about why we choose Surabaya as the case study. Because Surabaya is the second largest city in Indonesia with about 3 million population according to 2019 Statistical Bureau. Thus, the need for property development will keep rising as the people will get migration and also keep developing. Then, for every project development, you will need a good financing organization in order to produce optimum cost of study, according to Putra et al. 2013. And then, because of the development this day, REIT, or Real Estate Investment Trust, is one of the financing form. REIT is a trust fund collected from many investors by issuing shares, as stated by Liu et al. 2019. And REIT has benefits for property development in Indonesia, such as to avoid price fluctuation, and the second, to avoid capital outflows, third, to recycle capital, four, to strengthen solvency ratio, five, to reduce the debt rate. So, from the background explanation, we could get a research problem. REIT as real estate financing for developers. So how about using REIT as real estate financing for developer in Surabaya, Indonesia? And for our paper, we use methodology to use theoretical mapping from paper obtained from various reputable journal sources to ensure academic standard of the literature analyzed. So from the 20 papers that we use, not mostly, all is from Q1 and Q2 from reputable journal. such as economic modeling with Q2 in economics and econometric with 1 paper, Journal of Property Investment and Finance with Q1 in economics, econometric and finance with 5 paper, Journal of Real Estate Finance and Economic in Q1 in Studies with 6 paper, Corporate Government with Q1 in Business Management and Accounting with 1 paper, International Review of Economics and Finance with Q1 in Finance 1 paper, North American Journal of Economics and Finance with Q2 in Economics and Econometrics with 1 paper, Real Estate Economic with Q1 in Accounting with 1 paper, Physics A, Statistical Mechanics and its Application with Q2 in Condensed Matter Physics with 1 paper, Journal of Corporate Finance in Q1 in Business and International Management with 1 paper, Journal of Behavior and Experimental Economic with 1 paper, Europe Journal of Management and Business Economic with Q1 category with 1 paper. And then with this, resulting in theoretical mapping, I made the theoretical mapping with scope, methods, data type, and notes for the type of methods. So for the first paper, the scope is for rate character with quantitative method and secondary data type. And then second, with scope, rate character, and methods quantitative and qualitative, and also secondary data type. And third, using rate financing scope with both quantitative and qualitative methods and secondary data type. 4, with rate characteristic with quantitative and qualitative methods with secondary data type. The 5, with rate financing with qualitative methods and also secondary data type. And 6, with rate risk with quantitative and qualitative methods and secondary data type. And 7, with rate financing with qualitative methods and secondary data type. Then 8, using rate characteristic and also quantitative method and also secondary data type. And then 9, using rate financing with quantitative method and secondary data type. And then 10, rate financing and quantitative method and secondary data type. Then 11, use rate benefit and also qualitative method and also secondary data type. And then 12, use rate characteristic and also quantitative method and secondary data type. Then 13, using scope or rate characteristic and quantitative method and secondary data type. 14, also using rate characteristic, quantitative method, and also secondary data type. Then 15 is using rate financing with quantitative methods and also secondary data type. Then 16 with rate risk with quantitative method and also secondary data type. 17, using rate characteristic, quantitative method, and also secondary data type. 18, using rate risk and also quantitative methods and also secondary data type. 19, using rate characteristic, quantitative method, and secondary data type. 20 is rate benefit and also quantitative method and also secondary data type. And then from the theoretical mapping result, we have a discussion as follows. As you can see in this mapping positioning diagram, we have around 10 papers are about rate characteristic, 3 papers are about rate risk, 6 papers are about rate financing, and also 2 papers are about rate benefit. So the positioning of rate as real estate financing in Indonesia is influenced by these 4 scopes. As you can see, the most paper is about rate characteristic. Hence, this is show that a lot of researchers are researching about rate characteristics. So, rate research is relatively new. And then, from the 20 papers, we can get For scopes, there is rate financing, rate risk, rate benefit, and also rate characteristic. Rate financing is the way rate do its financing, such as capital structure, bank loans, leverage, and liquidity. And about rate risk is about the risk that can be happen while using rate. For example, return risk, idiosyncratic risk, credit risk, total risk, and also price risk. And also, risk benefit is about the benefit that could be obtained while using rate as a financing form, such as tax benefit, or cost efficiency, and also diversification. Then the last is rate characteristic. It's talking about rate basic concept or character. When rate is met some occasion or conditions, such as subsidiary investment, asymmetric behavior, property appraisal, annual return performance, tenant quality, liquidity management, macroeconomic environment, and also tax reforms. Since it was mentioned in the literature mapping, there are literature about rate benefit and its characteristic to help the developer utilize it to its full advantage. And there are literature that explain about rate risks to be learned and be prepared for risk mitigation. So from our discussion on literature review, we can get several conclusions. First, using rate as financing has advantages and risks for developers who will use it. And second, from literature review, a lot of previous study revolve around topics such as rate characteristic, rate financing, rate benefit, and also risk. And third, in this review, found that most commonly found research about rate is about its characteristic. That means research about rate is relatively new. Hence, a lot of researchers are researching about rate characteristic. And acknowledgement, the author appreciate the recognition and awards in form of research grant and fellowship from penelitian besar Ristekbrid tahun 2020 based on contract number 1132 IKS ITS 2020. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ayu Fatina, but your presentation is longer than the duration, but it's okay.
Sorry.
Any question for Miss Ayu in this session? Okay, we have we have a question from for Miss Rezi and Miss Ayu Fatima, but for Miss Rezi, I will postpone until the end of the session. But for Miss Ayu, because this is your session, so it's better if you answer the question right now. From Miss Adewidya, according to literatures or paper, what is the biggest risk and benefit of rate?
Okay, can I answer right now?
Yeah, please.
Based on the literature and papers, what the biggest risk and benefit of rate? For the benefit of rate, for mostly literature and papers will mention about its tax benefit. Its tax benefit because if you use rate as a financing form, you will get to only pay for single tax. So you only need to pay for your personal tax. No need to pay for company tax. So and also for the rate risk, so mostly that will appear on the literature and paper usually is return risk and also with asymmetric behavior. Asymmetric behavior is mostly how two party from investor and also from management have different conflicts. So this problem can lead to another big problem. So mostly the problem is this. And also there are some problem about return risk. So sometimes based on the economic situation, return risk is not as big as expected like this.
Okay, Miss Adividya, is Miss Ayu's answer satisfy you?
Yes, thank you for the answers.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Okay.
Okay, is there any question? Yep. Maybe if you want to ask the question, you can ask later, but please write down in the chat room. Now we are moving to another presenter. Actually, this is time for Mr. Fikri and Miss Ayomi. Are you both here, or is there somebody who represent those guys? Otherwise, we move to the last presenter, Miss Adividya.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Are you ready?
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Okay.
ready.
Yep. You can start your presentation from now. 10 minutes. Please share your.
Okay. 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 Thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adevidya. Welcome. I would like to present our research, evaluation of maturity level and critical success factors of knowledge management implementation at state-owned construction company in Indonesia. The product of this research is, the first is we want to know the knowledge management maturity level. The second is we also want to know the critical success factor of knowledge management. And the third is recommended strategies for improving the implementation of knowledge management. And the goal of this research is increasing the maturity of knowledge management implementation to support the improvement organizational performance at state-owned construction companies. And the object of this research is knowledge management at state-owned construction companies. So the research, the background of the research is, the first is infrastructure development is the current focus of nation government, and the total investment value of the national strategic project is 4 trillion, and state-owned contractors still dominate the infrastructure projects in Indonesia. But on the other side, construction industry is more complex and competitive caused by globalization and etc. Project management method is not enough to contribute achieving expected results. And also project problems result in customer dissatisfaction often experienced in construction industry. So we need knowledge management because it become a promising sustainable approach. It also approved by project management body book of knowledge, sorry, in 6th edition, chapter 4.4. The research questions. The first is, how is the knowledge management level in state-owned construction companies in Indonesia? The second is, what are the critical success factors needed to improve the implementation of KM? The third is, how is the strategy to improve knowledge management performance so as to improve organizational performance in SOCC in Indonesia? Now we go to the literature review, the process knowledge management. There are so many definition of knowledge management, but the latest and the most matching with this research is by PM Bock is knowledge management is a process using the existing knowledge and creating new knowledge to achieve the purpose of the project and contribution for organization learning. Now we go to knowledge management maturity level. There are 7 factors. There are 7 factors in this knowledge management. The first is policy and strategy for KM. The second is human resource planning and processes. The third, training and human performance improvement. Document management, tacit knowledge capture, knowledge management culture, and technical solution. Each factor has their own variables. The total of variables or elements is 39. This is refer from IAEA 2016. Now about the critical success factors, there are also 7 factors and their own elements. The total elements is 71 elements. This is refer from Muhammadi and Gosek of Senek. Now we go to overview of knowledge management implementation in state-owned company, construction company. There are many activities that are implemented, like sharing experience, mentoring and coaching, coordinator in each department, giving reward to employee who participate in KM program, innovation competition, sharing best practice, open discussion with expert, and etc. Now we go into research methods. The first is we identified 7 knowledge management factors as we discussed below, as we discussed on the previous page, maturity level, 39 indicators, and critical success factor, 71 indicators. And then those factors is approved by expert. Expert we invite have work experience above 15 years in their skill or in their work. And the third, after we got approval, we did pilot survey to get some input for the questionnaire before we distribute it to employees. After pilot survey done, we get input from the pilot respondent. We distribute the questionnaire to 90 SOCC employees. Return 69 and 2 invalid, so we use 67 and the respondent is 77. We also use statistic test and the this data analysis we discuss it later for the detail. This is data collection statistic test. This is the percentage by gender, company, work experience, education, and job position. We also do the validity with person correlation coefficient and reliability test with Kornbach alpha. All the indicators are valid and reliable. So this is the analysis of knowledge management level. The first, after we got the data from the respondent, we group. We use Likert scale 1 to 5. 1 is not used at all, and 5 is very great extent. And then we average. We find the average, and we divide it into 2 categories: extent currently utilized and extent desired. After that, we make a radar diagram so we can see the difference between the current extent and the desired extent. And the finding is the knowledge management maturity level in SOCC, or we call it BUMN, is 3.355 or level 305 to some extent. And the rank for knowledge management factor, the highest score is training and human performance improvement. Okay, this one, 3.46. And then the management, IT, human resource planning, policy, tacit knowledge capture, and the lowest score is knowledge management culture, 3.14. And then we come to research question number 2, analysis of knowledge management critical success factor. We have to
1 minute, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
This
faster your
okay, we find we search mean, standard deviation, medium, and we also count the relative importance index. So this is the rank. The first is training human improvement, second is knowledge management culture, and the latest is document management. Conclusion is this question to product ranking of knowledge management critical success factor KM is in BUMN. With the result of this RQ to itself, it can illustrate the critical or the key factors to improve the KM maturity. However, this result do not describe in detail which part or categories should be imported, so they are not necessary as needed. This is findings critical success factor, but I divided into every factors. So the latest research question, number 3, how to get the recommended strategies to improve KM. We combine the RQ1 and RQ2, mature level, and critical success factor. After validated by expert, we make list of recommendation for maturity improvement strategies. The first is we count the gap between current extent and desired extent, and based on gap analysis, KM culture category has the biggest difference gap. KM culture is a priority to improve its maturity, so a strategy is needed in order to reach the expected level of maturity. This is the findings of RQ3. So the priority to improve is KM culture because it has the biggest gap. And this is the recommended strategy that we get from RQ2. This is 10 strategy. Okay, thank you for your attention. This is the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for Ms. Adewidya. Now it's time for Q&A, especially for Ms. Adewidya. This is nice research. Project maturity. Is there any question for Ms. Adewidya? Mr. Faldoni or, oh, I think you will ask the question. No question at all to Ms. Adewidya. I will review a question in the chat room. From Miss Siti Khoiriyah to Miss Rezi. I want to ask you, do you have a plan after doing mapping? I mean the future research.
Yes, can I answer that question. Actually, my research just to inform and help researchers choose which method will be used when they will discuss the topic green building implementation. They are presented use a journals repute, which is journal with quartile 1 and quartile 2. But my future research, actually, my research that I presented, it's the part of my whole research.
Sorry,
Not my that present. Yeah.
Miss Siti Khairia, is it clear?
Thank you. Thank you, Bu.
Okay.
You're welcome.
And what's your sorry, can I ask? I will ask to
It's
you.
okay.
So what's the method you will use? Because I think you will not use LCC, right?
Yes.
Yes, because it's too common.
Yes.
So
I
what
use regression analysis for my research.
are you combine with LCC or only
only regression analysis.
Okay. Is there any question for all speakers? Maybe for Mr. Sasde or Miss Adividya or Mr. Valdoni or Miss Mareta? We still have around 15 minutes. No question? Okay. Maybe if there's no question anymore, we can close this session. But before we close the session, this is necessary to take a picture, even though in a virtual session. And this is, I think this is new culture. We end up in a virtual photo session. So please turn your video on. Then I will take our picture and give your best smile. And 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much. I would like to say thank you very much for all presenters, and this is very beneficial research, and we can share our knowledge to others, and maybe not in this session, but we can share maybe through our email or something like that. And once again, thank you for your active participation. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial for all of us, and stay safe and healthy. Thank you for your attention and good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Bye, thanks. Okay, you can leave now. Hello, Akmar. How are you?
Halo.
Halo, Akmar.
Halo Mbak Farida, gitu ya. Terakhir ya Mbak?
Iya. Ini Akmar ini mau presentasi nih. Akmar mau presentasi ya?
Presentasi tadi ditanyain tuh.
Nah, ini apa ini?
Lah. Gelasnya siapa itu ya? Gelasnya siapa?
Gelasnya siapa ini?
Pipinya
Converse
enggak
TI
nol.
loh, barengan Mbak.